thought of that. I was thinking of that when I was thinking about the sermon today, and thought it really is appropriate for what we've been talking about. This is the final week of When the Devil Knocks. And today's subtitle is The Destroyer. And we have been talking about this, and we've been saying this is not a series where it is meant to glorify the devil or anything like that. It is meant to make us aware of what he does in our lives, the tricks that he uses on us, and to make us aware that we are in a battle, and that battle that we're in is not against flesh and blood, but it is a spiritual battle. And it's not that we need to be ready in case the devil attacks us someday. The fact that we are Christians and we are followers of Christ means he is going to attack, and I'm sure whether you realize it or not, many of you are under attack as we speak. When we talk about the devil, Jesus tells us some things about the devil, and he tells us that the devil comes to steal, to kill, and destroy. Where on the other hand, we have Jesus who comes to give us life, and to give us life abundantly. The devil is just the opposite: to steal, to kill, to destroy, to steal your joy, to kill your peace, to destroy any contentment you have in your life. He comes to attack your friendships. He comes to attack your finances, your reputation, and what he really wants to do is he wants to destroy that relationship you have with God. As I said, this has been a 3-week series. Each week we've kind of looked at it as like a metaphor. The first week was Satan is the deceiver who targets your mind with lies. And we said we looked at Eve a lot in the garden, and we said how he came to her and doesn't question God's existence, but only questions what God says, and tries to turn his words around with things like, did God really say that? And what he tries to do is he tries to get you questioning God to pull you away from God, right? The second week, last week, we said Satan is the accuser who targets your heart with accusations, meaning at one point in time, if you're going to sin or something like that, Satan's the first one to be standing there saying, oh, go ahead, it doesn't matter, it's okay, who's going to know, you deserve it anyways. But as soon as that sin is committed, he's the one that's saying, you loser. How can anyone ever love you? How could you call yourself a Christian? How could God love you? That's what he does. And this week we are talking about Satan is the destroyer who targets your will with pride. So we're looking at the sin of pride today. Something that probably, if I was to ask you if pride is a big sin, you'd probably tell me no. It's not one of the big ones. I'm going to argue a little bit today that it's a very big one. And we will see why sin does so much to us. When we think of pride, we probably think, well, not when we think of pride, but we probably think that the devil attacks us when we're weak. That's how we look at it. Something bad's happened, I'm down in the dumps. This means the devil's going to come, he's going to attack me more often and everything. That's how we tend to think. But in reality, yes, he will come at those times, but he really likes to come at you when you're at a point in your life, a point of strength. So not only will he kick you when you're down, but he will attack you when you're on top. And the reason why he does that is because when you're on top of the world, you're a lot less aware of what's around you and what's happening. When you're on top, you're very vulnerable to his attacks. And we can think of that, the perfect person to think of when we think of being attacked at the top is when we think of David in the Bible. When it comes to David, Satan had a very poised, strategic attack against King David. He didn't attack him so much when he was just a little shepherd boy or anything like that. But what he does is when King David is at the height of his popularity is when the attacks come. All right, so we have little shepherd boy David, who, all the soldiers are afraid of this giant named Goliath and everything, and this little shepherd boy comes along, and he's like, I don't know why you're all so afraid of him. We have God on our side. And he goes and he slays the giant, right? Well, then that just only escalates things from there for King David. So, he becomes king, but for David, who becomes King David, and he becomes this war hero. And he becomes powerful. And suddenly, at one point, the women are like writing songs about him and like singing about him and everything like that. And like that's a big deal, because I don't think, no matter how good of a sermon I give on any given Sunday, that when I go home and I drive into the driveway, that Tracy's going to meet me out in the driveway singing songs of praise to me or anything like that. It would be nice. Not going to happen. She's very good at reminding me of this woman all the time. But he's up here. They're writing songs about him. He's a big deal. But that's when Satan attacks. And when he's up here, this is when David stumbles. Not at his weakest moments or anything like that, but when he appeared to be at his strongest. When we go and we ask people, what was David's greatest sin? Well, probably a lot of people will say, probably when he committed adultery with Bathsheba. And then, because he committed adultery and she got pregnant and all that kind of stuff, he brings in her husband, and he actually tries to get him to go sleep with her, but it doesn't really work out. So what he decides to do is he decides to send her husband to the front line of battle so that he would be killed. So we might say, his worst things is he committed adultery with Bathsheba. Some people might look a little deeper at it, and they might be, if I really think of what his worst sin was, it was that he lusted and he murdered, okay? But when you really get down to the root cause, or the root sin here, some people will tell you that David's greatest sin was his pride. That pride led him to lust. I mean, if we can think about it like this, David had anything he could have possibly wanted. He probably almost could have had any girl he possibly wanted. But there was this one woman he couldn't have that his pride made him lust after, and it made him go after. So his pride led to this lust, which eventually led to murder. And because of that, because of his pride, what ends up happening is a few different people end up dying because of this pride that he has. Also, David's pride got him in more trouble at one point because he decides to do the census. And due to the census that he does, roundabout way, if you go in and you read it all, 70,000 people end up dying because of the census that he decides to do. And actually, this is where the Bible tells us about this census. You know what? And I already skipped one very important piece of scripture that's going to tell you. I know just this very first one right here. Stay alert. Watch out for your great enemy, the devil. He prowls around like a roaring lion looking for someone to devour. So that's what the devil does to us. But when we're talking about King David, in the census, it says this: Satan rose up against Israel and incited David to take a census of Israel. So this wasn't necessarily something that David was thinking on his own, but the devil attacks, right? And why does he attack? Because David is at the top of his game at this point. He's winning battles. He's an important guy. If he had iTunes on his phone, he'd be listening to We Are the Champions, stuff like that. But the devil comes along here, and what he does, he says, you know what, David, you're awesome. You are great at everything you do. You're at the pinnacle of your success. No one can beat you. You're unbelievably just great in every way. You know what you should do? You should take a census to see how many people you rule over. Right? You think, okay, well, he's going to take a census. So he does this, decides to take a census, and you might say, well, is it wrong to take a census? And the answer is no, that a census by itself, for the proper purposes, wasn't wrong. As a matter of fact, Moses had taken a census, an annual census. He did it every year. But the difference was this. Moses took the census, and what he did, Moses, for every male that was 20 years of age or older, he would give a half a shekel to. And this was looked at as being atonement money or ransom money. So what he was doing was he was really looking at these 20-year-old males and above, and he was saying that this is a ransom, this is a reminder that God has purchased your freedom, is what he was saying. God has purchased you your freedom, and we're going to give you this money here to bring glory to God, and because it just shows how many of us that God has rescued, is what he was doing. So Moses was bringing the focus in on God, and he was glorifying God, where David was the exact opposite. His whole purpose of doing the census was to bring glory to himself. Look at all the people I have power over. He was trying to bring glory to himself, his own glory. So that is the difference here with these two censuses. Joab was a commander of troops, and he was told to do this census, and he didn't really like the idea of all that much. And this is what the Bible tells us about it. It says, but Joab did not include Levi and Benjamin in the numbering, because the king's command was repulsive to him. This command was also evil in the sight of God, so he punished Israel. So pride here, causing a lot of things to happen, and even this commander understood that this was not right, that it was evil, and it shouldn't be being done, and 70,000 people ended up eventually dying. But here's what's very interesting. When David committed the sin of adultery, this is what he said. Sin of adultery. I have sinned against the Lord, okay? That's the sin of adultery. When he committed the sin of pride, he changes it to, I have sinned greatly by doing this. So, even more by doing what he did. So, we have the deadly sin of pride. And you may never be more vulnerable than when you are full of pride, okay? And we see great leaders, we see things come up throughout. But after Uzziah became powerful, his pride led to his downfall. So pride, again, leading to downfall. Pride precedes destruction. An arrogant spirit appears before a fall. Pride gets us. When we think pride, not a big thing, but obviously what we're seeing is pride can be very bad. It can cause a lot of destruction. And the thing is, we don't recognize how full of pride we are. We think, well, that's something so other people deal with, not me. Well, that's pride, right? We think, I'm so holy. I never do that. I don't need anyone. I got this. Well, that's all pride, all right? I'm a self-made person. I worked hard. I deserve this. Pride. I know I've got a problem, but I'm not going to tell anybody. Pride. I'm not going to ask for help. Pride. I'm not going to apologize. Pride. It's not my fault. Pride. We have a serious problem with pride, and we don't even recognize it. We don't understand what that problem is and how severe it can be, and you may never be more vulnerable than when we are full of pride. Okay, so I want to look at this real quick. busy, so sometimes I can't get one slide without having two. So I don't get it. But, so 2 words I want to look at here. The word opposes and submit are here, okay? Now opposes, if we look at the Greek word here of oppose, it was a military term, which how appropriate for Memorial Day, but these are military terms. And oppose meant to have a full army ready for battle. And then the other word, submit, is a military term to mean voluntarily rank under, okay? So we say God opposes the proud. So basically, God has an army ready for battle against the proud. That's what that says. God opposes the proud, but shows favor in the humble. Submit. So in other words, voluntarily rank yourself under God. So submit yourselves then to God. Resist the devil and he will flee from you. Come near to God and he will come near to you. Humble yourselves before the Lord and he will lift you up. And who said this? James, the brother of Jesus. So it's kind of an interesting way of looking at it. He's telling us that we need to not be proud, not be full of pride, but we need to humble ourselves to God. When it comes to God and Satan, there is no middle ground. You can't be a little into Christ. You can't believe in God a little bit. You have to be all in. You can't defeat Satan's demons who you flirt with all the time if you're just a little in. You won't be able to defeat them. And you can't defeat the things of this world that are going to try to tear you down if you're in love with the things of this world. And John even told us, friendship with the world is hatred towards God. So we need to be all about God. And Jesus was even clear. He told us, he says that, if you exalt yourself, if you make yourself high, you're going to be humble, right? Your pride says, I don't need God. That's what pride does. I don't need God. I'm better. I don't need those things. I'm good, right? That's what I need. We're never more vulnerable than when we are full of pride. However, our humility says, when we have humility, our humility says, I need God. I need God. We're all about the devil in this series. We've been talking about him so much. Whether you call him Lucifer, the Prince of Darkness, the Father of Lies, whatever you call him by, some of the many names he goes by. We have to remember that he started out as an archangel, right? And he was this beautiful angel at one point in time. And he was like the head of worship, right? But he had a problem. He had the problem of pride. He had this problem with pride, which got him thrown out of heaven. Remember, he wanted to be just like God. He wanted to be better than God. So his pride got him thrown out. So if this is what got him into trouble, think of how well he knows how to use it against you. Pride. In the book of Isaiah, we talk about these 5 I wills that got Satan in trouble. And it is, I will ascend to the heavens. You want to ascend to the heavens? I will raise my throne above the stars. I will sit enthroned on the mount of assembly. I will ascend above the top of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. Pride is what gets him. The devil is all about him and his pride, where Jesus is all about God. And it all points to God through Jesus. When Jesus is in the garden, knowing he's about to be arrested and crucified in Gethsemane, what does he say? He doesn't say, hey, my will be done here, Jesus. Do what I mean, God, do what I want, do what I want, do what I want. No, he says, not my will, God, but thy will, your will. That's what I want. Satan wants the opposite from you. Satan wants you to say, no, 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 my will. Do what I want, God. I know what's best for me, right? But Jesus wants us to honor and glorify God by saying, no, no, not my will, thy will. We think humility and submitting to God, we think that's weakness. But it's not weakness, it's strength. Our declaration of our need for God is strength. We can never be weak when we have God. We can never be stronger than when we're dependent on God. We have to start looking at things in a different light. We have to start dropping our pride and humbling ourselves. And you know what we have to say? I want to humble myself before the Lord. Because I know He will lift me up in due time, in His time, not necessarily my time, because I know I'm called by His name. I know He knows my name. I will humble myself. I will pray. I will seek His face. I will listen to the heavens. I will accept the forgiveness of my sins. I will forgive other people. I will give thanks to you, God. You are good. I know you are good. Your mercies endure forever. You are my God, and I earnestly seek you. I thrive for you, God. My whole being longs for you. My soul cries out for you, because your love is better than life itself. My lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live. I will speak your name continuously. I will lift my hands. I will do all these things. Lord, I will do all these things. Not for me. I will humble myself. I will submit myself to your glory. Because your love, your faithfulness is greater than any pride I could ever have. Pride leads to destruction. Pride will destroy us. And we don't even realize it's happening. Satan will attack us when our pride is at its highest. He will use it against us. And he knows he can do it because it happened to him. So we need to stop with pride. And it's hard. We all suffer from it. We all want to have pride in so many different things, but we need to submit ourselves to God. We need to draw closer to God and humble ourselves before Him and let Him give us direction in our life. Let Him tell us where He wants us to go. Because without God, we're just stumbling around. We're just stumbling around and we're falling over ourselves. I saw that last night. And when I went to that fair, man, there's people there that are a mess. And I remember this shirt that I saw recently, and I kind of wish I had it on, and it just said, "Y'all need Jesus." Last night, I think I could have given that shirt to many, many people. We all need Jesus. And we all need to understand that the most important person in our lives is not ourselves, but it is Jesus. And sometimes that means we have to drop our pride. We have to humble ourselves. And we have to seek Him first. Let's pray. Heavenly Father, We know that we are individuals that get full of ourselves at times. We know that we struggle with our pride. We know we struggle with our egos. We know that we struggle with having to look a certain way, having to put the right Facebook picture out there, or Snapchat, or whatever happens to be popular at the time. We know we're all trying to portray a certain image because our pride gets in the way. God, we would just ask that we find it in our ability to break down our own pride, to chip away at sometimes what we've tried so hard to build up, this fake image where everything is all right. Let us know, God, that it's okay to sometimes not be okay. Help us to understand that we're not perfect, and help us understand that we need you more than we need anything else in this world. God, help us as a church to hold each other up, to help each other when we're full of pride, help us talk to one another about what it is that we're thinking and what bothers us in this life, and just help us to be better Christians, help us to be closer to you and to draw closer to you all the time. Because when we draw closer to you, people see you through us. And that is the goal for each of us, is for people to see Jesus through us, and for us to help others draw closer to you. And that can only happen when we drop our pride and we submit ourselves to you and we become humble. Help us today, God, with that, and help us every day. We ask all these things in Jesus Christ's name.